Okay, I've got this to my cutting mat. I'm assuming we're recording. I live in hope. And I'm just going to trim the edge to make sure it's nice and neat. Be careful with rotary cutters. They are razor sharp. People using them on the sewing bee the other week, or last week, were using them on the floor and not using a cutting mat. That I found quite amusing. Well, and amazing. So I've straightened that one up. Rotary cutter. Once you finish with it, put the safety lock on, then you can't accidentally get your fingers open. Just a safety note. Right, I've got a couple of hacks for using and lining up things on my sewing machine. I've got this little bit of paper here. That is where the side of the 1/4 inch is. So I know where my 1/4 inch seam is. I've made it so the material can go underneath, and it saves me pinning things. The other thing I've got is some washi tape, and if you've never come across washi tape, it's basically a bit like post-it tape, and it peels off and it becomes movable and all of that. So I've got a line here that I want to keep in my material in line, so that it's a guide for me. As the material goes through, I can see that I've got it in the right place. It'll all become clear once I get sewing. I want to put a little edge in there before I start sewing, because I don't want a raw edge at the edge of the material, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do the top for the tape to go through, and this is where my little guide here comes in really handy, and I don't have to pin everything. If you're happier pinning, pin, but I just have got this guide here. My material goes under my guide, so I'm not going to have a raw edge. I've got the guide here where where I want the edge of the material to be, and as long as the bottom of the material is there, it's going through. As long as it goes through at that rate, it's going to be fine. So I'm just going to secure it and go for it. I'm not doing it terribly accurately, but it's close enough for Jazz. I do like hacks. Oh, it's got a bit narrow, but hey. I'm just going to turn this end in, because I don't want a raw end there either. And I'm just securing it there. Trim that off. Next bit I'll do is I'm going to turn that under, and this is where the green washi tape comes into use, because I want to keep, if I keep that hem in line with the washi tape at the top, oh, get out of there, I will then have straight stitching, she said, hopefully. It's almost in line. So I'm not using that bit underneath now, but I am turning this over at the top. And let's go. Right, I've got this material back the right way, so it's actually right sides out, so wrong sides together, And I'm just going to pin this bit at the top here. One of the few times I use a pin, just to make sure this keeps level. And I'm not quite sure how this French seam is going to work with the broderie anglais at the bottom. I may need to snip it back. I'm not sure yet, but we'll work on that. It's too pretty to cut off. So what I do is tease out the insides of the seam there, because I want to sew as close to the top as I can. And I've straightened those edges. This is not going to fray a great deal, this material, which is really good. But I'm going to get as close to the top as I can. And I'm going to sew probably 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the fabric. So I'm doing the securing, and I'm just going to go for it. This is going to be a learning curve for me. How we deal with that broderie anglais at the bottom. Wish me luck. Ooh, what happened there? Something got tucked up. We're still all right though. And carry on. Something got caught in the foot. So I may just go like that. So I have no idea how that's going to work. We'll have to do it and see. So that's the start of the French seam. I'm going to do the other side exactly the same. I'll cut off those bits. So again, it's wrong sides together. You think wrong sides together? I'll tuck that under because I'm just so not sure what I'm going to do with it. Oh, too fast for me. Too fast myself. Okay, what we do now, so I'm going to pin those out of the way so that they don't. You wouldn't need to do this ordinarily. If I cut the broderie anglais off, I'd have been so much easier. I think so. Will this work? The other one out of the way as well. So just keep it from getting sewn into the seam. I kind of do want it sewn in the seam, but not really tucked in. So right, I've turned this inside out. I've poked the corners out, so the corners are there. Let's do it and see what happens. So I'm going to sew a second seam down there. This is why it's called a French seam, because you're hiding the raw edge and it makes it much more durable when it's in the washing machine. So you have no raw edges to go fraying. So what I'm going to do is stick that under the... Come on, where's my sewing cotton? Thank you. And this time I'm going to give it a good 1/4 of an inch because I don't want any of the little raw edges coming through. So just securing it, and I'm giving it a good 1/4 inch. Just ease that out. If you're really fastidious, you could iron that seam before you do it, but again, I can ease it out quite easily as I'm doing it, and it flattens it out as it goes. Let's just see where we're at. See what it's like when we turn it inside out. Who knows what will happen to the broderie anglais. And I'm going to secure it at the bottom. I'm going to do the other side. Oh, take that off. Wash bag, scrubs bag. with the embroidery on glaze. Oh, that's the pin, that's one. Got something there. Pretty fabric. French seam, that's the inside, so the raw edge is encompassed in this little bit here, so it keeps it all neat and tidy and makes it more durable for when it goes in the washing machine. So you could do a zigzag on it, and that's the top where I put that gives you a Scrubs laundry bag. I've done a double enclosure at the top again so that it's stronger. So you've got the line of sewing here, the line of sewing there, and the tape goes through there. We'll do that in a minute. Nice lemon yellow tape. It's herringbone tape. It's 1/2 inch wide or thereabouts, and I've got a mark on my desk for how long I want it to be. So don't look at the desk, for God's sake, don't look at the desk. There's the mark on my desk. I know that I'm going to need that length of tape to go inside. So, because I've done a few before, so I'm measuring it to the end and then cutting. What I have is a very trusty quilting pin. It's bent. It looks a bit like a smaller version of a baby's nappy pin, but it's bent for ease of getting it through several layers of fabric. And come back this side. Trying to keep it straight so it doesn't rock the system. Putting it in there, and just and it's come out the other end. Yay! So make sure I've got oh, I might cry if I haven't put this in straight. Sides. I've got the two ends roughly equal. You don't need a huge amount of tape, just enough that they can open it up fully. What I do is a knot and pull it really tight, and then do another knot, so it's a double knot, and that is your drawstring bag.